All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. And this is going to be a video on how the Israelite woman is going to learn some hard truths, man, about herself in the coming times, man, which us as Israelite men, we've already had to learn hard truths about ourselves and about how wicked we are, right? Even men that are not in the truth, even men that don't believe in Yahweh, don't believe in Yahweh Shai, they've been made to accept, they've been made to have to see certain truths about themselves that they maybe would have thought, oh, nah, I don't want to address that. But this world forces the Israelite man to have to address these things, right? And 1 second. But in this society, the Israelite woman is able to always escape out of having to face hard truths about herself. And she's able to try and scapegoat it onto the men of the nation and blame the men for why that's happening, right? She's always able to blame the reason why she's poor on the Israelite man. The reason why she acts a certain kind of way towards men is because of what the men do, right? But how the men treat the women of the nation, they don't think is because of what they do, right? And therein lies the hypocrisy. And give me 1 second. I need to turn off some background noise. 1 second. Women was talking like, yeah, men, like I was saying, men have to face the reality, and women are going to have to be made to face the reality, man, right? Because a lot of these women are running around on Kevin Samuels and all these different podcasts, right? Saying they're a 10 and they're this and they're that, right? Saying they don't need a man, saying men ain't this, men are trash. But just watch and see, man, now that in America, in Babylon the Great anyway, how these financial things are being taken away from these women, right? And if these women really were a 10 that was saying they're a 10, well, then they ain't going to face nothing, they ain't going to receive no problems in that. Because a woman that's a 10, if that even exists, right? A woman that's a 10 will not be made to be broke, because some man out there will want her presence around him initially in this time, because it's not true hell's breaks loose right now. So the women that are actually 10s for real, they'll be able to have men around them, right? That will be prepared to pay whatever they have lost, or at least hard enough to make the woman be able to have a roof over her head or not completely spaz out. But the women that are not 10s, they ain't going to be finding that kind of help. The women that are truly independent, right? Well, they wouldn't care about any of these things being taken away. But what women do, and they don't even understand, like they know they're doing it, but they hope that nobody else knows that they're doing it, right? They get help from everybody else and then call that independence. So a woman might have 10 men in their phone, and each and every single one of them is giving her some kind of money, and then she might make her own money as well, or she might get given some free money from some other thing, and she'll call that money independence. She'll call all that help that she's getting given independence, because she'll think that she's getting that stuff given to her because she's actually some kind of good person. And no, you're not. Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 9, rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the present fields, for the fruitful vine. They're going to be longing for all the times where they was able to run men through the ringer. And them times are not ever going to be coming back ever again. It's not ever going to be coming back again, man. And the same men that you women were calling dusty, you're going to be trying to have the nerve, because women ain't got no integrity. They ain't got not really much moral compass, most of them. Some have, but most of them don't these days in this society, right? They're going to have the nerve to try and come back to the same men that they was insulting, seeking help. They'll have the nerve to try and come to the same men that they was insulting, right? Begging. Like, they're going to do that. We can see it, man. They're going to do it. They're going to come back to the same men that they was insulting with begging hands. The same people that they knew that were Hebrew Israelite men right? And she might have slept with the guy 1 or 2 times or whatever. She's gonna think, oh well, I slept with him them 1 or 2 times, so now he owes me. He owes me a sit down lesson. He owes me his time to learn the word. She's gonna forget how she completely betrayed the guy and went on and did whatever else. And the men that have been in the truth for longer are gonna have more women that have said these things. Like I remember a while back where I heard one of the apostles say that a woman tried to send him a little message about what's going on in the times, right? And he was like, yeah, she's trying to leave that door open. But women don't actually even understand that men actually understand what they're trying to do. They think they're slick all the time, man. They think that they're fooling us in every single category. And women test the waters with lying to men. And they start off with something small. And then when you catch them out, they'll be like, oh, I was only joking. Or you was trying to test the waters to see if you can get away with a small lie. Because somewhere in your wicked ass mind, you're planning on trying to get away with a big lie later. Like even there's this video going around on the internet. It's been out for maybe a couple of years or so, where a guy that was an Edomite that was with a woman just randomly showed up to her dad's house. I think it was her dad's house and she was in there, or wherever she was. He showed up to her just randomly. 4 years later, they broke up 4 years ago, and however that relationship broke up, it must have left a sour taste in his mouth, and he just showed up 4 years later, just randomly out of the blue to unalive her, man. And luckily for her, her dad was home at the time, and her dad had the you know what, you know what I mean. Her dad had the strelly, and he wasn't playing no games, and blazed it through the door, man, and took that other Edomite out, right? But had he have not been there, what would have happened to her? What would have happened to her, man? And then she was all crying in her dad's arms, Dad, you saved my life and all that. But had he have not been there, what would have happened, man? And whatever she did to that guy, right, he would have more than likely probably justified if he would have got through that door. But Yahweh had other plans in this particular scenario, right? In this particular scenario, Yahweh had other plans. Because maybe that woman's judgment is pending further on in the future for all the wickedness that she's did. Because she probably screwed other men over that have got a grudge to bear. Now, I don't know this for certain, but something dodgy had to have happened for a man to show up randomly 4 years later. Just randomly show up 4 years later. Years later, after the relationship is broken, he just shows up, seeking revenge. Now, another one of the hard truths that you Israelite women are going to have to face the music to is that you might not find the Israelite man attractive, right? You might think that a particular Israelite man's not attractive or not handsome or not this or ain't got enough this or ain't got enough that. But that don't mean women of other nations think that. That don't mean that another woman from our nation thinks that. Because when, like, in this society, women try and pick women for their friends that they want to sleep with secretly. That's the thing. They'll try and pick a man. They'll try and, like, if a man goes to talk to a woman, for example, right, they'll like try and intervene and stop it when the female, their friend, is with it talking to the guy, but they'll try and step in and involve themselves, right? Because they don't like you. They don't care whether their friend likes you or not. They don't like you, and they secretly try and pick women. In some situations, women try and pick women for their friends that they want to sleep with secretly, man. Or that they think, oh, if I looked like this woman, then I'd want to date this guy. So she better want to date that guy as well. And every single man out here pretty much has experienced a situation like that where he was vibing with a woman or whatever, and then some next random woman came out of nowhere and disrupted the mood, man. Every single man's experienced that at least one time. At least one time, and then some men have experienced it many times. Let's carry on in this verse 12. They shall lament for the teach, for the present field, for the fruit of the vine. And like I was saying before, man, like when it goes down in the society and all hell breaks loose and Yahweh is allowing men of Israel to be able to pick out women that they're going to start producing children within the kingdom, right? Not every single one of them women has to be an Israelite, you know. Because after the Israelite men come back down from the chariots as well, even, not every single one of those women are going to be that he's going to be with are going to be an Israelite woman. Now, the people that are getting beamed up are only going to be Israelite women, right? The 7 women that are going to take hold of one man, right? That don't necessarily have to be only Israelite women though, man. Because after the Israelite man comes back down from the chariots, who knows what's going to happen? There's still going to be heathen women that exist in that time. But as far as women that go up in the chariots goes, they're going to have to only be Israelite women. Because no heathens getting on the chariots. But the heathen women that they're going to be like, some of them are going to look like so-called, the Israelite women that are going to look, some of them are going to look like heathen women. And then you Israelite women are going to realize that you ain't as hot as you thought you was, man. Because the Israelite woman really has a way too high opinion of herself in this world, man. Way too high. She really is incompetent. Like, most of these women in this world anyway are in competition with men. But then when it comes to the way how men really, when it comes down to the complete basis level, the most clear level to decide, okay, you want to see who's better among men. Okay, let's have a fucking scrap then. Let's me against you, one-on-one right now. And that's going to completely decide truly who's better. Now, some people might say, oh, that's carnal, that's carnal. Yahweh Shai is going to do that. Oh, Esau, you think you're better than Yahweh Shai? Okay. Get all your best weapons ready. Everything, all of your mighty weapons of war. Every single thing you've got, right? Isaiah 47, all the witchcraft you want to try and do, everything you got. Gather it all. Gather every single thing, right? Yahweh Shai is coming. Think not that I've come to send peace on earth. No, a sword. I've come to send fire on the earth. And what will I have to be order be kindled? Yahweh Shai is going to enter into the world when it's at a state of war. And he's going to prove that he's better than Esau by overcoming him physically, right? It's going to be a physical thing that's going to prove that Esau is not better than Yahweh Shai. Because that's how the men really, ultimately at the end of it all, decide who's better. It ends up being a physical thing that you end up seeing. And the physical thing that Esau's going to end up seeing is himself turned into vapor, ashes, and going into captivity for the amount of time that Yahweh, Bar Sham Yahweh Shai, says he has to go through, and then get completely taken out of the world. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18. If you didn't end up seeing anything physically with your eyes to prove that Yahweh Shai is more superior and that the Israelites are more superior than Esau, then how could you ever believe it? Because right now the reason why Esau thinks he's better than us is because physically he sees that he's in charge. Well, that's going to end. And physically they're going to see us in charge. They're going to see the man that was once overcoming everyone. Let's get the precept, man. Let's get the scripture. Right? And I'm saying all of this to say that among you women, you've been sold as, let me read it. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, from thy fear, and from thy hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. So there's going to come a time where the Israelite man is no longer underneath his oppressor. That's going to be a physical thing that you're going to be able to see. You're going to physically be able to see these so-called black people no longer have to answer to anybody on this earth. These Latino men no longer have to answer anyone on this earth. These Native Americans are no longer pushed away to a reservation. They're walking around and everyone knows that they exist. No one ain't believing that they're extinct. They're walking around. They're in everywhere on the earth that you go, you see them. Because when was the last time, me as somebody that's grew up in the United Kingdom, when, I can't remember, like the last time I seen a Gadite, right, was like, man, like I have seen some of them, but like within the last decade, I've seen what, 2, 3 maybe, 2 or 3, and that's a lot. And they might have not even all been Gadites, man, because one of them said that it was from, where did he say he was from, man? Uruguay, I believe. So that's not even necessarily a Gadite, but that was one of the Southern Kingdom. But then as far as the actual Gadite, like I think I seen one. And when I tried to talk to him about something, he was trying to pretend like he couldn't even speak English. He said, "Oh, I don't speak English." And then the next thing you know, I see him talking understand that they had in the city that it was. I seen him talking to the two Edomite women that he was with, and I was like, you know what, man? I started cursing his ass out, man. I ain't even gonna lie. I started cursing his ass out and saying, so you're pretending that you can't speak English to me, but when it comes to these two, you're speaking and laughing and smiling in their face, yeah? When it's people that look like that destroyed your people. And then after I cursed his ass out, I just kept it moving, man, because a lot of you Native Americans as well, man, y'all are coons, man, right? Y'all probably don't want to hear that because you think you're Chief Tomahawk and all that. Well, fuck Chief Tomahawk. You're an Israelite. And you hate the so-called black man, but then you love Esau when he's the one that jacked your ass up, man. Like, as far as this whole Hebrew Israelite thing goes, the Native Americans are the ones that are the least, so far as I've seen, the least accepting of it, man. They ain't saying, yeah, we are the Gadites. I've seen videos of Issachar saying, yeah, we're really Issachar. I ain't seen too much of Gad, man. I ain't seen too much of that, to be honest with you. Because they think that they're so certified with their little history that they got in America, but that's not even their real history, though. Y'all are washed out from what you really are. But they'll get right. But anyway, back on these women, man. Verse 4, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressor ceased? How have the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased, because it's going to become a physical thing that people are able to see. Who's better? Right? We can talk about we're better than Esau all we want. Or we're the Israelites and Esau's the Edomite and he's just nothing. Esau don't believe it right now because physically when he goes around the world, he sees that he's still in charge of most things. Even though they complain, all this immigration, man, they're stealing our home, they're taking all the jobs, they're this and that. When he goes around the world, he's still able to get away with things that other people ain't. And he tests it out. He'll go around the world arrogant as hell and he'll test it out. The only reason why some of these Edomites are starting to complain is the completely ugly hills of eyes looking ones, right? The lowest of the low ones that are mainly doing most of the complaining right now, right? It's because they ain't able to do the things that they want to do. Because one of the things they enjoy was maybe calling Jake the N-word. And now when they do that, they get folded up, dropped on their head, right? Kicked in their chest. And they're like, oh man, my pastime's been taken away. My favorite number one pastime has been taken away. Oh, we can't even say anything in this world anymore because we'll be called a racist. Well, what is it that you want to say, coward? Why don't you say it anyway? If you really think you're a man like that, why don't you just say whatever you want to say anyway and stand on it then? Because you want the law to allow you to be able to go around and tell people whatever you want to tell them. You don't want to just say and have some courage and to deal with whatever happens. You want to just be able to say whatever you want to say and the law backs you up, man, because you're cowards. That's what they really want. But anyway, I'm saying all of that to say this. Women have been in this society secretly trying to compete with men and openly trying to compete with men. But the way our men ultimately at the top level, at the most sincere level, the way our men end up showing who's better, right, is with fighting each other. Now, people can say now it ain't all they want. Yes, it is, right? That's the ultimate way. And Yahushua conquered that way because he humbled himself, knowing that he could have destroyed all the Edomites 2,000 plus years ago, and he humbled himself and allowed them to harm his body and unalive him, even though he could have brought legions of angels back then. And he did that so that we could, as Israelites, have salvation for our sins. But when he comes back this next time, he's not going to allow them to touch him once. You know when you play them fighting games and it's a perfect because they ain't took none of your health bar? That's what Yahushua is coming to do this time. They ain't going to touch him once, man. They ain't going to get 1 point of victory. They ain't going to do nothing. Now, you women want to compete with men, right? And you want to go on war, you want to join the army, you want to talk all this smack, right? I don't think you women actually truly understand how much stronger a man is than you. Right? I don't think you actually really understand this. I don't think y'all actually do. Because I sometimes watch some of these sports videos or whatever, like a WNBA player playing against another guy that's just a basketball player, and he's good, He's better than average, but if he was to go against an NBA player, he'd be getting washed. But when he comes against this woman, he becomes the elite level NBA player against an elite level woman. 15-year-old boys that have been training 5 years in a combat sport, I believe, could go to the female UFC leagues and win the title and beat that woman up and take the title from her. A 15-year-old that's been training for combat sports for 15 years, he could go and fight the best female boxer and box her head off, man. Knockout too. He could not do the same thing if he went to the men's league. He would not be doing that, right? Some of them would be able to still hang. Some of them, especially if they're an Israelite, but most would not be able to, right? They just wouldn't be able to live in that arena. They wouldn't be able to go there. Just like how like most men don't understand how much stronger than them an elite level fighter is. Most men don't actually understand but they kind of know not to mess with people that have a certain rank higher than them physically, right? But they don't actually physically know the true difference in strength that they are. They don't know. And that's why in this society, you've got a lot of people that walk around arrogant because they've never actually had their ass whooped. They're selective with how they pick their fights. They bully people and they pick their fights very wisely, right? And when other people show around that they know, they can just tell that them person's stronger than them. They humble themselves, but they don't actually, they humble themselves, yeah, but they don't actually truly know how much stronger those people are than them. Now, I've got to go to this scripture just because it's true, right? And make it not be about that, right? Because it's not, the salvation is not about physical strength. This is the facts. But women like to try and compete with men. But among men, let's say that there's two men that are both equal in finances, right? Two men that are both equal in height. Two men that are both equal in every other category. In every single category in life. The only way how they're going to truly then test who's better is if they have a fight. Now, an example of this is with the two strongest men contenders, Eddie Hearn and Thorber Johnson, right? They were both equal in strength, similar. They both won World's Strongest Man. One of them had a 500 kilogram deadlift. The other one had a 501 kilogram deadlift. Now one of them, I think he's got 505 or 504 kilogram deadlift. But they're ultimately pretty much equal in strength, similar. One of them's a bit taller. The other one's like a few inches, like 5 or 6 inches short, which is quite a bit. But when they're both heavy, big men anyway, right? But when they wanted to truly test who's better, they didn't say, yo, how much money you got in the bank? Let's go bag for bag. No, they said, let's get in a ring and have a scrap then. And then it was decided who's better than, who was able to overcome the other person physically. And that's why Howard Shai is going to be able to prove that he's better than Esau and that he's better than every single Israelite that thought that they knew what was going on. Oh, the thing with our communities, we need leisure centers. Howard Shai is not coming to build no leisure centers, you know. Yahweh Shai is not coming to build no infrastructure, like to build no economic system like what people think anyway. That's going to be done, but that's not the main thing that he's coming to do. He's coming to take away the oppressor. He's going to take Esau away, man. Like that, man, that first Edomite that gets the taste of Yahweh Shai's wrath, man, he's going to get jacked up, but it might not even be one Edomite that tastes his wrath when he comes initially. It might be a couple of Edomites all at once. But then there's certain Edomites that he's got his eyes aimed towards, those that pierced him, man. He's got his target set on certain people. He might, who knows, man, he might make that be his personal pets in the kingdom, man. Who knows, man? I wouldn't want to be that person. That's hell, bro. And that person on this earth right now is probably proud as hell, but not knowing what's coming for them. Jeremiah chapter 9 and verse 23 does say, Yahweh, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me, that I am Yahweh, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith Yahweh. And that's what Yahweh delights in, man. Israelites trusting in him. Now, most of you Israelites, I mean, you don't trust in Yahweh. So you're going to have to trust in your wisdom, which y'all ain't wise. Your might, y'all ain't mighty. Your riches, well, y'all ain't really got that neither. All of those things can be taken away from you by a man stronger than you. Your wisdom, he don't care how wise you are. What are you going to say? E equals MC squared. When he's trying to break into your house, and what are you going to say? E equals MC squared. What are you going to do? Recite pi to 20 figures of pi. You know, oh, I know, I've memorized the first 20 numbers of pi. 3.142567. Who cares? Who cares, man? No one ain't going to care about none of that. Oh, I've got a degree. What are you going to do? He's trying to break in your house to steal everything in your house. You're going to throw your degree at him. What's that going to do, man? You ain't going to be able to negotiate nothing. People are going to be hungry, man. It's not going to work. None of it's going to work, man. Even for men, these things ain't going to work. The mighty man is not going to be the person that escapes and gets on a chariot. He's not going to be able to, a man of faith was going to get on a chariot and he was running to try and get on there. But a mighty man that was faster than him was able to use same bolt past him and get on the seat and be like, you snooze, you lose, brother. I beat you there. That's not what's going to happen. The chariot's not going to land down on earth. And then the timer goes down, and whoever after the timer is gone, that's who gets on the chariot. No, the chariot's not even going to need to come down to the earth. They're beaming people up, man. Come up here, my people, right? But let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me, that I am Yahweh, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and rights in the earth. You Jakes don't even want to believe that Yahweh executed judgment on our nation. You don't want to believe that we're cursed. You'll complain about the black community until the seasons change. But you're like, you don't, when we say, yeah, we're cursed, man, you don't want to accept it. Our black people are always going against each other. Yeah, that's the curse of Deuteronomy 28:54. Nah, it's not. We're not cursed. That's an excuse. That's an excuse. Okay, well, saying that black people do everything to each other and that they shouldn't be talking about so-called white people, what they do, that's an excuse then to try and make out like what so-called white people do to us isn't still a problem. That's an excuse. But y'all don't want to focus on that though, do you? Always trying to talk about how the so-called white race do things and that, yeah, but forgetting that they put people in slavery. So if you're emulating them, you got to emulate that too. Like, see, the way our white people do things is they do. Yeah, they also put our ancestors in slavery for hundreds of years. Shall we do that part as well? Shall we do that part? Because we can't try and ignore that part. See, white people don't do that. They store money and they live and they do this. And okay, they also put our forefathers in slavery for hundreds of years, though. Don't forget that part too. They also made a whole economy and a whole society for years that they was completely disregarding you as being a human being and destroying your societies and your communities when you would build them. So you can't try and boast on what they do, but ignore that part. But y'all Jakes will hear that. Some of y'all Jakes will hear that and say, yeah, but what stopped you from building another one after that? They did. They came up with a way to now stop that from even getting built to where that was in existence. But y'all say, nah, they didn't do that. You're just making excuses. But then at the same time, you'll acknowledge that they can cancel your YouTube channel. Or if you say the wrong words on YouTube, they're gonna take your YouTube channel down. Yeah, they are. Just like how the same thing, how in this society, if you don't pass certain criteria that they want, and they own the industries, they own the jobs, they own the things that you have to get in this world, they're gonna cancel you there. But y'all won't acknowledge that. Y'all will try and be like, no, they don't. They don't have that power. You're giving them too much power. No, when you want a job, you have to go to them. And if you've got super talent, they'd be foolish to not use you. But they could still not hire you anyway if they wanted to. And that's the harsh truth that us as men have had to accept. But then we'll pray to Yahweh to overcome all that. Because if a man's ways please the Lord, he causes even his enemy to be at peace with him. And we understand that. But a lot of you women have not been yet made to understand these things, but you're going to know. Right? You're going to be made to know because y'all have been extremely proud down here, man. The proudest of proud down here. And you're going to be made to be humbled, man. Yahweh is going to drain your pride. And on that, I'm going to say shalom to the nation of Israel, shalom.